I'm very surprised by the hostile response to my video MEP elections Oldham, Luton, Aylesbury and Fareham, posted on Made in Oldham Memories, which reads as follows. Post, Michael Watmow. You might be born in Oldham, but you're not an Oldham son. You are a racist, who many a true Oldham son fought against you and your like in the Second World War. I, for one, have more in common with the Muslim folk in Oldham than I have with you and your leader. Reply. Why are you so nasty in your comment to my post? It is clear you do not speak for the whole of Oldham. I was definitely born in Oldham, went to Clarksfield Infant School, and my parents fought the war against Hitler and the Nazi regime. They did this with all of Britain in order to secure our freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Tommy Robinson is standing to be elected as a European MP for Oldham and the North West in order to secure these freedoms. You call me a racist. You may not agree, and to speak as you do against me, I venture to say you know very little about me, and so is ignorance. I know nothing of you, so I am at a loss to understand your reference to a true Oldham son. For your information, I have had living with me a Muslim man from Pakistan for over 4 years. I am married to a Filipino wife, so your reference to me being a racist is just a plain insult. The news from Oldham on the 18th of May demonstrates who are these real enemies to our freedom, freedom of speech and freedom of religion. They are the Muslim Defence League.
Pelton!
Who show their true colours. I trust you do not refer to these as the true sons of Oldham. The Muslims I know and have known do not behave like these people, and I believe would support Tommy Robinson. David Clark, the 19th of May, 2019.
I want to address the Pakistani men from my community. Shame on you! Shame on you! You are a disgrace to the Pakistani community. You come here tooled up. The police officers knew what was happening right from the onset. These Pakistani men were not here to protest. They came tooled up to cause a fight. The police officers are totally to blame. You could have stopped this right from the onset. This is a political rally. We have the right to have a political rally. The Pakistani men have no right to come here and attack young kids in the crowd by throwing bricks and balls. Shame on the Pakistani community.
Yes. My original post. Tommy Robinson, European elections. I was born in Oldham on the 16th of February 1949 at Boundary Park Hospital, which is next to the Oldham Athletic Football Club. I had a brother, Michael, who was born in 1946, just after the war. We lived at 26 Fleet Street, Oldham, and I was baptised as an infant in 1953 at Christ Church, Glodwick. Not that that made me a Christian, it didn't. My brother and I went to Clarksfield Infant School. My Aunt Edith used to take us to Alexandra Park for a treat on a Saturday to see the boats and the launch on the lake. And at the end of the day she would buy us real English chips made from real lard. My mother was born in Oldham, and so was her mother, who died when she was young. My granddad was born in Oldham, and he worked as a craftsman and was a trade unionist in the mills of Lancashire. My father was a Londoner, born in Islington, and was in the army. He was a Tommy soldier and fought in the war in Egypt. My mother was in the Royal Air Force and worked as a telegrapher, dispatching paratroopers and bringing the aircraft home after the bombing raids in Germany at Ringway Airport. They served our country to preserve our freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. They were proud of our country, and Mum loved the royal family. I had many aunts and uncles, and they were all born in and around Oldham, and have all died and are buried in Oldham now. Here is a photograph of the grave, and I would really value anyone telling me where the cemetery is located, as I'm living in Fareham now and would like to revisit it. My granddad, grandma who died before I was born, my Aunt Alice, Auntie Frances and Uncle John and Aunt Edith are all buried there. Oldham is no longer the town I once knew. Many things have changed, and parts of Oldham have been repopulated by Muslims who are governed by Islamic law and practice unknown strange religious practices. My brother and I moved with our parents as a family to Aylesbury in 1963, where we grew up as teenagers and were well known. I worked in Aylesbury and as a service manager at Granada TV Rentals. It was in Aylesbury that I became a Christian in 1970 after a bad experience on LSD. I went on to Wolverhampton Polytechnic and graduated with a Cert Ed awarded by Birmingham University in 1978, and I went on to teach electronics for over 20 years in colleges of further and higher education. I moved to Luton in 1978 and taught electronics at Luton College of Higher Education and taught hundreds of Muslim students until 1998. It was here I put myself out to learn their ways and visit their mosque in Bury Park. I visited their homes to learn the principles of Islam. Both Oldham, Aylesbury and Luton are no longer places where I once knew, lived, worked and raised my families. These towns have all experienced many serious problems due to the conflicts between Muslims and the rest of society. These are problems that require a political solution that our governments have been unable to resolve. This is why I recommend you elect Tommy Robinson as your European MP for the North West. He has identified the true essence of the problems causing these conflicts and realises the need for a political solution and not violence. As a result, and due to the current state of affairs in the world, I have published my findings in my book, The West and the Quran, in which I show that Islam, an ideology based on the Quran, is at odds with the Christian religion and poses a threat to world peace. A political solution is required to prevent the domination of Islam in the UK and abroad. Tommy Robinson is standing as a European MP for the North East of England. He is the man to vote for, as he stands for freedom of speech, freedom of religion and opposes uncontrolled immigration to the UK. We cannot afford to ignore the rise of Islamic terror in the UK.
What's the solution? If Muslim people are in the wrong and they are committing crimes, no one's above the law.
If the law of the land is Islamic, we will respect the law of the land.
What if it's not Islamic?
If it's not Islamic, then the law of the land and those who make it can go to hell, quite honestly, because Allah said in the Quran, in chapter 33, verse 1, He said, O Prophet, fear Allah and do not obey the disbelievers and the hypocrites. Is David Cameron a Muslim or a disbeliever? Guys,
I can't speak on Cameron,
so you can't obey him. So he can go to hell, as well as all of the other leaders.
I'm now 70 years old, and my personal story is told in my book, Converted on LSD Trip. First published on the 11th of February 2001 and as reported in the Oldham Chronicle, and now released as Borstal Boys, also in the Bucks Herald and the Portsmouth News. See the links listed below of this video for further references.